In a move that has sent shockwaves through British politics, the government has announced the postponement of local elections in several key areas until 2026. This unexpected decision has ignited fierce debate, with opposition parties, particularly Reform UK, accusing the government of deliberately undermining democracy to prevent them from gaining power. The decision comes at a critical time when Britain is experiencing a major political shift. Trust in traditional parties like Labour and the Conservatives is declining, while support for alternative parties is steadily rising. So, what are the real reasons behind this delay? Is it, as the government claims, an administrative necessity, or is it a calculated move to weaken the growing influence of new political forces? What could be the long-term consequences of this decision for British democracy? If you've been watching our content but haven't subscribed yet, you're not alone. Over 98% of our viewers haven't subscribed. If you want to stay updated with the latest news in a clear and simple way, now's the perfect time to subscribe. By subscribing, you'll be among the first to know about all the new updates. We're committed to being a trustworthy source, bringing you the news in the best way possible. Just hit that subscribe button to stay informed with us. Background: why was Reform UK expected to gain ground in local elections? Over the past few years, a gradual shift in voter sentiment has been reshaping British politics. Reform UK, a party known for its opposition to mass immigration and dissatisfaction with the current government's policies, has been gaining traction among voters who feel abandoned by traditional political leaders. The party has managed to attract a significant number of former Conservative voters, particularly those disillusioned by the government's handling of economic issues, immigration, and public services. With the upcoming local elections, opinion polls suggested that Reform UK was on track to win council seats for the first time, potentially changing the political landscape. However, the government's decision to postpone elections in areas like East Sussex, West Sussex, Essex, Hampshire, and Norfolk has raised concerns that the move is a strategic attempt to prevent Reform UK from gaining further political momentum. Political reactions: is the decision designed to protect the Labour Party? The announcement of the election delay was met with immediate backlash, particularly from Nigel Farage, the leader of Reform UK, who condemned it as an attack on democracy. Farage stated, "It is clear that this delay is not an administrative necessity but a desperate attempt to preserve the status quo. The government knows that voters are losing faith in traditional parties, and rather than face a real challenge, they've chosen to manipulate the electoral system." Farage's frustration was echoed by the Conservative Party, which also criticized the delay, claiming it undermines public trust in the democratic process. Kevin Henry, the Shadow Minister for Housing, remarked that the decision sends a dangerous message to voters, suggesting that their voices can be ignored when politically convenient. On the other hand, Angela Rayner, deputy leader of the Labour Party, defended the government's position, arguing that the postponement was necessary to ensure stability and improve the efficiency of local councils. She claimed that many councils were struggling with financial and administrative challenges, and the reforms needed to address these issues would be more effective if implemented before elections. However, her explanation has failed to convince many, particularly as the affected areas are predominantly Conservative strongholds where Reform UK was gaining popularity. This has led critics to believe that the decision was not about governance but rather a tactical move to buy time and weaken opposition forces. Political analysis: how could the delay impact the future of British politics? The government's decision could have far-reaching consequences for the UK's political landscape, and analysts predict it may have unintended effects. Growing public outrage. Many voters, particularly those who were planning to support Reform UK, may feel that their democratic rights have been undermined. This could fuel resentment against the government and drive greater support for Reform UK in future elections. Erosion of trust in the government. The postponement could be perceived as a sign of weakness from traditional parties, particularly Labour and the Conservatives, reinforcing the belief that they are afraid of political change. This could lead to further voter disengagement or a shift towards alternative parties. Strengthening Reform UK's electoral campaign. Instead of hindering Reform UK, the election delay could become a rallying point for the party. They could use this controversy as a powerful tool to mobilize their base and attract even more disillusioned voters. Potential legal challenges. Calls for legal action against the government are increasing, with activists and opposition parties seeking to challenge the decision in court. If a legal case is successful, it could force a reconsideration of the election postponement and further damage the government's reputation. Could the decision be overturned? At present, the government shows no indication of reversing its decision. However, mounting pressure from the opposition, public protests, and potential legal battles could force Parliament to reconsider. There have been calls for urgent parliamentary hearings to discuss the matter, and some civil rights groups are preparing legal challenges to dispute the validity of the delay. Conclusion: how will voters react? The government's decision to delay local elections has sparked intense controversy and could reshape Britain's political future. While officials claim that the postponement is necessary for administrative improvements, critics argue that it represents a serious breach of democratic principles aimed at suppressing political opposition. The key question now is, will this decision backfire on the government, leading to greater public support for Reform UK, or will voters accept it as an unavoidable administrative step? Could this controversy mark a turning point in British politics, setting the stage for a major shift in voter behaviour in the next general elections? We want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe the election delay is justified, or do you think it's a deliberate move to block Reform UK's rise? Let us know in the comments below.